Cool. So, yeah, my name's Mike Brightman. My company's Brightman Designs, and we offer design, drafting, visualization, and workflow training services. Just about everything we do revolves around Sketchup Pro, Layout, Lumion, and our Condoc tools. So today, or actually, let's see, I'll start off like this. This week, I was asked a question about how to make tea light candles. And so after I had done that last lighting in Lumion blog post and presentation, I thought, oh, let's just press on here and spend an hour or two and figure out a great way to come up with these candles. So that's what I did. And that's what I'm going to be presenting today for our office hours. So this is our monthly hour-long session. I'm going to start off with like 15 to 30 minutes of presentation. Depends on how that goes. I kind of just wing it. And then after that, please stick around, ask questions. You can ask questions about flickering candles or any projects that you've been working on. If it relates to SketchUp, Layout, Condoc, Lumion, I'm pretty confident I can help you on the fly. Certainly, if you were to drag and drop a file into this droplet here, that'll send it straight to my Dropbox. So if you have a file that's giving you a hard time, you want me to take a look at it, please drop it in there and I'll grab it out of my Dropbox and we'll use that for a demonstration. Just make sure it's a project that you're okay going onto YouTube and being shown. So, all right, so let's see. Let me just make sure. Looks like it stopped. Very good. Okay, let's hop over into SketchUp and just talk briefly about what we're going to be working with here today. This is our Boulevard Coffee Shop. This project has surfaced once or twice already. It's part of our new advanced course. And what we're going to work with here today is this little section over here. So I figured we would import this into Lumion, and then we're going to light it from scratch. So we're just going to add a bunch of tea lights into that kind of funky organic shelf over there. And maybe throw a couple of tea lights onto the wood stools here. And then we'll load up an effect stack and we'll render it, see what happens, make a few adjustments, and hopefully I'll be able to offer a few tips along the way on how you guys can reproduce this effect for your models. So first things first, you could decide where you want to wherever you want to add your candles. It really doesn't matter. You could either add them all in SketchUp and place them all in SketchUp and then save and reload, or you could add them in Lumion. That's fine too. Me personally, I prefer to add these things in SketchUp. So that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to try and grab this off of our 3D warehouse. So I'll hit 3D warehouse, get models, and then I'm going to type in Lumion candle like that. And then you can see here we've got this Lumion tea light candle that I just created this morning. And I'm pretty sure that this candle originated on Form Fonts, and then I took it and kind of modified it and shrunk it. But definitely check out formfonts.com. Those guys are great. They've got a ton of awesome models. So this is our tea light candle. The other thing I did to it is let's see, I'll just click on the 3D model here. And I'll point out how you can see like these different colors that are going on there. And so that's where we can make a couple different emissive materials. And that way it's going to give a different flicker effect when we get into Lumion. All right, so I'll click on download. We'll load this directly into my model, and then I'll just click to place it. All right, so there's my first tea light candle. And using my move tool, I can make a couple copies of this. And we're going to go nuts with our tea lights here. And the other thing I want to do to my tea light is I want to put like a little case around it, or like a little glass dish around it. So what I'll do is double click in here, and I'm going to offset the bottom of this candle by 0.25. And then I'm going to take this, make it a group, and double click in there. And now I can delete this and delete these edges. Oh, we can offset this by, let's say, 1/16. And then I'm going to pull it straight up by, we'll say 0.75, enter. You can see that because this is a component, it's happening across the board. And the next thing I'll do is go in here and paint this with some glass. I'll use this green glass for now. That actually could be kind of cool. All right, and I'll pull up the bottom too. I'm going to say 1/16, enter. triple click on this, right click and choose soften / smooth edges. And then I can smooth those edges and, we can get it. Yeah, that looks good. Something like that. All right, so there we go. So there's my tea light, and it doesn't have to be green. I could always edit that and, make it like a white. That's probably more realistic of what that would actually look like. But that could give us kind of a nice sparkle happening there, right? When we use like maybe some pure glass on there. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Control C and copy that. And then I'm going to move up here and hit Control V. And so that's another way that you can place things maybe a little quicker. And we'll just drop a bunch of these tea lights in here. And I'm working pretty fast just to get the idea down. All right. So let's see. And, with the tea light effect, I think it is important that we do have a lot of these placed because that's what's going to be kind of impressive about this. All right. Like that. Okay. Almost done. Like that. Got a handful more. So pasting all these guys in there. The other thing we'll work on too is in Lumion, we'll see if we can't get like a waxiness going on. We've got that new subsurface scattering effect that we can work with. All right, so that looks pretty good when it comes to putting a bunch of tea lights in that shelf there. Looks like maybe I missed a few. I just got to fill it in perfect. Okay, so we've got some tea lights on the shelf. We've got some tea lights on the table. We've got everything kind of set up the way it should be. And now I'm going to save this. I always like to do a save as just so I can make sure I'm saving to my desktop temp. I'm saving this as my office hours Boulevard coffee shop. So we'll just replace that. All right, and then if I go over into Lumion, I am going to import a new model, and we're going to import this Boulevard Coffee Shop and choose Open, and I'll give that a different name since I've already imported that a few times. Now, this one, this model is just slightly heavy, so it's going to take us maybe 30 or so seconds, but definitely take a moment while you're on our event page to sign up for our newsletters, and also check out that link on that event page where you can get to that candle and download it, so that way you've got it for your own, and we'll make sure that when we do the recap, we'll share all these files with you on that page too. So we'll just give this a moment, and then we'll get back to work. And while it's cooking, I don't know if there's anything else to talk about in here. Let's see. In Lumion, we are also going to add emissive materials to our bulbs. So we'll get those guys glowing, and let's see. Yeah, I think we're good. We're close. All right, perfect. So I'm going to click to place that model. I always go straight to move mode and set this to be 0, 5, 0, like that. All right, so now here we are on the inside of our coffee shop. All right, we can see we've got all of our tea light candles here, but everything is kind of, it's kind of drab, right? Like there's no materials really set up. Looks like our book isn't quite properly textured, but that's all right. So we want to add some textures here. So to do that, I would go to my materials and click on like the glass, and I could say that this glass now is Lumion glass. So see, now I can see outside. I could click here, make this, we can make that like advanced glass, give it some frostiness and some relief. So the other thing I can do, which I've already set up, is I can load a material set. So I've already got a material set for this guy. It's in our Boulevard coffee shop. And we'll just load that one up just so that everything is properly textured. And then we're going to tweak our emissive materials here. And that way we'll get these things glowing. And it seems like if you watch that other Lumion presentation I did on lighting or capturing Lumion interiors, what we do is, I'll say okay, is it seems like there's a common tendency to want to like really dial up the settings and like really exaggerate the lighting. And what I found in the process of writing that blog and putting on that presentation is that it's really better to back down all of the values of your lights. Just keep them as low as you can, really, so that they don't all compete. It's like once you jack one up to like 500, then everything else has to be at 500, or else it just gets drowned out. So what I will say about our emissive materials, though, if I make this, see, I just click on like this yellow, and then I'll make it a standard material. And then I'm going to go to our settings, and we're going to dial up our emissiveness. And you can see how bright that gets. See how it kind of glows? Well, I'm going to make this, I like to pick like very round numbers, like 100. All right, and then I'm going to click on this other one here. We're going to make that a standard material, and I'll dial that up. If I double click on that slider, I can make that 100 as well. All right, and then the other thing I want to do to these emissive materials is maybe I'll make one glow like pretty orange, you know, like make it really orangish. And then the other one, I'll make it glow like really yellow. So that'll cast some good light for us. It doesn't totally show up here, maybe a little bit, but it'll show up in our rendering. And I'll click, let's see. All right, the other thing I want to do is click on our tea light holder. We're going to go with advanced glass. I'm going to give this little tea light holder some relief, knock the scale down like that. Just make it something maybe a little more interesting. And then maybe just a touch of frostiness would be kind of cool. And then it seems like internal reflections help too. All right, so that's cool. Those guys are all set up. You can see that as I move around a little bit, they do kind of flicker, you know? So when you run an animation, just the nature of these emissive materials, they do kind of flicker a bit. And then check these guys out. So those are all kind of flickering a little bit, even though they are in fact static. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to save that. And then we're good to go there. So maybe the other thing I'll do before we move into our photo mode, I'm just going to select this glass here. I'm going to make it emissive. That's glass as is. Oh, you know, I think we do have some emissive properties in those bulbs. I'll leave them be for now. So let's just say OK. And let's go set up a rendering here. All right, so in Lumion, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to load up an effect stack. And we'll share this. Let me get my view set up here, like that. And I'm just going to go straight to File and choose Load. And then here on our Lumion demos, I've got this Photoreal Dream interior. And then I'm going to go to my depth of field and hit Edit. And I want to focus on, we'll just say we're going to focus right here on this table and say OK. All right, so right away you can see that we've got some glowing happening. But with that depth of field, it gets a little blurry. That's okay. I think I'm also going to drop the sunlight down. So the sun height is going to go like, we'll go pretty far down. And one thing about any emissive material is that an emissive material, in order for it to cast light, hyperlight has to be on. So I'm going to turn hyperlight on, and I'll just dial up the intensity and take a snapshot here. And then let me see. I'm going to adjust my view here like this. All right, so how about that? We'll go right there. I'm going to add another one. And this time I'm going to copy my effect stack. I'll copy my effects, go here, click on Edit, and choose Paste. All right, so let's go over to our depth of field, maybe dial down the amount like that so we can still see what's going on. And then over here, let's just take a look. So let's just render this at like 1920 by 1080. I'm going to put this on my desktop temp, and I'm going to call this one Image 1, and just see what that one turns out to be. So you can see that with our lens flare, you know, we're getting a lot of that like glowing, and it is, you know, admittedly exaggerated here, but that's kind of the point is, you know, we really want those to show up. So that's cool. And then on this other one, let's see what that guy looks like. We'll do Image 02 and just get a good preview. So, you know, it might be a little bit strong. I might dial down my lens flare effect. So let's go do that. Lens flare, the bloom amount and the master brightness can come down just a touch. And our streak dispersion, let's see, we can go down with that. And streak fall off is what kind of like makes those die out. So maybe something like that would be a little more reasonable. All right. So right now, the only lights that we really have in this scene are the emissive materials. So let's add in some Omni Lights, because Omni Lights are kind of nice for just throwing some good colored light or just in general brightening it up. Keep in mind that Omni Lights do not cast shadows. They're just going to kind of push light to all the surfaces. And then I think we'll throw a few spots on there, make some in here. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw some Omni Lights. I'll go to Objects and choose Place. We're going to go to our Lights and Special Objects and go to our library. And here we have Omni Light. Now we've got Light Fill, and then as we go down the line, we've got Omni Light. All right, so for the Omni Light, I might just throw one. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of hover on the floor and click and drag and place that like right kind of smack in the center of that guy. Like that. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to make this definitely, let me drop the sun down so we get like a good indication. See how that works? Let's go back here to our properties. And so you can dial up the brightness and really get an idea of what's going on there. We could really make that pretty orange. So something like that might be the look we're going for. All right. And then I think I'll just make a copy of that, actually. I'm just going to hold, with my Move tool, my Move Object tool, I'm going to hold Alt and just click and drag over here. And that makes a copy, and then I can move this straight up. All right, so we'll just throw like that orange glow where our candles are placed. So that looks pretty good. And then the other thing I'm going to do is maybe we'll drop some spotlights in here in each one of these cones. So let me go grab our spotlights, and maybe I'll choose like a softer spot like this and click and drag. I love this, like if you click and drag when you place, you can set the height. I just learned that one like last winter, and that one is an invaluable tip. All right, so then over here we'll click and drag and just kind of like loosely placing those. And then I'm going to tap Escape, and we're going to select all of my lights. I'm going to edit their properties, and check it out. Any of these spotlights that come in, their default brightness is set to 300. And look at what it's doing already to my to the seating arrangement. It's really bright. So like I want to just dial that way down. I mean, that's not really the feel of this area. So maybe something more like, let's see what like 50 does for us. And maybe I will go with like a little closer to that Edison bulb glow and see what that does. All right. So that way we've got our spotlights, we've got our Omni Lights, and then I can go back into photo mode and then take a look and see, check that out. All right, so let's render that now at a higher res, and this is going to be image 2. So what we're getting here is it's the combination of the emissive material, the lens flare effect, and Omni Lights and spotlights. So actually, let's do render everything. We're going to go full speed there and call it 00 underscore and hit go. Let's see what image 1 looks like. So again, pretty good, pretty dramatic. We got a lot of those lens flares happening, but again, we've got some emissive materials in these little lamps. And I mean, with very, very little lighting, we're getting a pretty dramatic effect with those candles. So we'll let that one render with our 64 passes, and then maybe we'll kill the second one and then take a look at those. But keep in mind that it really is like that Capturing Lumion Interiors presentation I did. That's a great place to start to understand your lighting. But to get this effect, we are using our emissive materials, and it's critical that we have our emissive materials and then a combination of effects in there. So let's kill that one and take a look at what we've created. All right, so then from our desktop temp, and we've got 001. So there's our final image. That's pretty cool. I like it just fine. And then look at the next one, and that one's pretty dreamy there, right? And then, the one thing I did forget to do, which I don't think is going to be critical here, is add some waxiness to our candle. So like if I were to go here to my materials and then click on the candle itself, well, then we can go to standard material, and then down here at the bottom left hand of my screen, waxiness, we'll just dial that all the way up like that. Say okay. And then I don't think that's going to make a huge difference for what we're up to here though. But anyways, hopefully that's a good tip. But that question did come up this week, and I thought, I was goofing around trying to come up with a good answer, and figured, well, might as well share what I learned with you. So anyways, definitely check out that last blog post. That's well worth it, and hopefully that helps.